and you won't be included. We want to be able to share this with people who aren't able to make this call today. Okay, we're up to 35 people in the room, so I think we should try and get kicked off. Still people are trickling in, but it's we've got a critical mass, which is great. As I said, I'm Diarmuid MacDonald. I work with Just Treatment. We are heavily involved in the global Right to Breathe campaign. We've been working on access to medicines issues for many years. We're working really closely with Vertex Save Us, the community-led effort to secure equitable access to CF drugs for everybody that could benefit them around the world. We are really pleased to welcome all of you from the global CF community. We're really pleased to welcome our speakers from the Right to Breathe campaign, from Beximco Pharmaceuticals, and from Howard University, who are all going to speak today. Before we have time to have a Q&A session with everybody, so if there's any questions that come during this conversation, we'll have half an hour at the end to discuss them. So please do use the chat to post any questions as they occur to you during the first half of the webinar. In the second half, we will focus on facilitating that conversation. If there are any questions that we aren't able to reach, we will commit to following up and including them in the FAQs in our briefing documents on the website. Okay, that's enough waffle from me. We're really pleased that everybody's here, and we're really pleased to have our panel. Our first speaker is Gail Pledger. Gail is a CF mum from the UK. She's been involved in the fight to get her own daughter access to modulators for many years to win access for everybody in the UK. And for the last number of years, has been fighting to get access for people around the world. And she's been heavily involved in the effort to launch CF Buyers Club 2.0 and ensure access to this affordable generic. So I'll give the floor to Gail.
Thank you, Diarmuid, and thanks everyone for joining the call. I hope you're going to find it informative, and we'll be able to give some reassurance about the new generic. We're all very excited about. So just to set a bit of context about how it came to this point that we're at today, as Diarmuid said, I have a daughter with cystic fibrosis. She was very poorly when she got to about the age of 12, and at the same point, Vertex's drug, or Cambi, was just becoming available. And like everybody in this country, being one of the richest countries in the world with one of the biggest CF populations in the world, we all believed that that drug would be approved and we would get it, and there wouldn't be any delays. But it became clear fairly quickly that there was going to be a fight to get that drug because of the high prices that were being charged. And so we spent several years campaigning. We had protests and we linked up with our MPs. We were on telly, in newspapers. We did everything to put pressure on the government and Vertex to, make a deal. And in that time, we believe about 200 young people in the UK died without access to Vertex drugs. For some of us, we felt very strongly that the problem was the high prices, and we didn't want to put pressure on the government to pay such high prices. And so we looked around for a way to put pressure on Vertex to lower the price of their drugs. And as part of this, we linked up with Just Treatment, and we came up with a plan which was called our Plan B plan. The plan was that we gave the government two choices. One was to immediately make a deal with Vertex to pay the price and give us access, or the second choice was to issue a compulsory license, which is a legal means that can be used to override the patent and allow the import or production of a cheaper version of the drug for our children. At the very same time, we found out that an Argentinian company was making Orkambi, a generic version, in Argentina, which strengthened our case because all the government had to do was to break the patent and bring in these cheaper drugs. So at that time, we set up the CF Buyers Club that has been around since 2019, and to link families with Gador at that time. Unfortunately, the price of Gador drugs have now become prohibitive as well, and so they are not a solution for people around the world who want affordable versions of Vertex drugs. The result of this strategy in the UK was that we put a lot of pressure on the government. They really had nowhere to hide. Either they had to make a deal with Vertex or they had to bring in the cheaper generic. Our health secretary stood up in Parliament in 2019 and said publicly that the government had a moral obligation to look at all the options, including a compulsory license and breaking the patent. And it was only 4 months later that a deal for Orkambi was agreed with our government. And people close to the centre of the negotiations said that this pressure and the threat of breaking the patent had been a really important catalyst and had given them some negotiating power in the talks with Vertex. And we believe that a lower price was agreed. So at that point, we got access to Orkambi, and the following year, fortunately, we didn't have another fight, and we got Kaftrio or Trikafta in 2020. And my daughter started it that year in 2020, and it's literally transformed her life from being in hospital 4 times a year for 2 weeks, being really sick, getting sicker all the time. She literally has not had another admission. And now she's at university, like living life as every 21-year-old should be doing. But I think for me and a couple of others, we realised the barrier that this high price was causing. And we knew the fight we had had over many years and how that would be even worse in countries around the world, you know, that were less wealthy than the UK. And we set up in 2020 the grassroots global campaign group, Vertex Save Us. And within a few months of setting that up, we had thousands of followers from 60 countries around the world, all desperate families like we were, trying to get these drugs for their children, to try and save their children's lives. So that's how really the global campaign got started. And yeah, we lobbied Vertex. We've had several meetings with Vertex executives to try and get them to act more reasonably, more responsibly in terms of pricing. And in 2023, we again joined forces with Just Treatment, where I now work as well on the Right to Breathe campaign, to launch Right to Breathe. We did that in February 2023. And we followed a similar strategy to the UK in that we got families from 4 different countries on the same day to press their government to issue compulsory licenses. That was South Africa, India, Ukraine, and Brazil. It was a monumental, unprecedented thing to do. We had a whole page of the New York Times that covered that story. And interestingly, all of those countries now have either partial or full access, because the pressure on Vertex has meant that they've either dropped the prices in those countries or been forced to launch a donation program where they supply a few patients with the drugs.
Gail, maybe just to jump in, like, and just to bring us up to where we are now in the interests of time.
Yep.
One of the barriers there was still like truly affordable generic. So I wonder if you just talk specifically about the product that we've got now and the partnership with Beximco.
I will move on to that now. Yeah. So, as we've said, so we found that this strategy of having a lower cost generic is like a really powerful strategy. And knowing that countries around the world could not access it, we were then looking for like a solution to that. With Gadol's drugs and the other generics become very expensive, we were desperately looking for a cheaper alternative. And at that point, we got in touch with Beximco, and we had some conversations with them, and also with allies from Third World Network, and we struck up a conversation. And Beximco went away and sort of thought about whether they could be involved, and we were really, really happy when they agreed to take this on and to produce a cheaper generic version of Trikafta. So that was nearly 3 years ago, I believe, the first conversations that we had. And so here we are today, 3 years later, with this amazing announcement that we were able to make a couple of weeks ago. As you may have seen, the price is going to be around $12,750 for adults, $6,375 for children, and with dose sparing strategies, that will go down to about $2,000 for a child. So, I mean, it's an incredible difference to any other version that is available at the moment. Beximco have done extensive work around laboratory testing of this drug. Dissolution testing has been done and has proven to be, a close match to the originator drug. So we feel very confident about the quality and efficacy of the drug. We still have bioequivalency testing to be done, but that's something we're going to be looking at over the next year, and we'll be putting that in place. We have a group of experts that are helping to advise on the best way to go about that, and so we will be doing that over the coming months. And again, we have relaunched the CF Buyers Club that we started a few years ago, where people who are interested to know more can contact the CF Buyers Club, and we'll give as much information as we can. Initially, we're thinking that people will access Triko through personal importation, which means that you can import drugs. In many countries, you can import drugs for your own use. You have to look at the regulations in your own country, but often it's 3 to 6 months of drugs for your own personal use. And Beximco are happy to try and facilitate that with patients in various countries. We will also use this opportunity to try and put pressure on governments around the world to supply this drug. It's now on the essential medicine list as of September. The World Health Organization has designated as an essential medicine, which also puts it up the priority in terms of governments providing it to patients in the country. So I hope that's given like an overview of how we've got here and where we're at the moment. And as I've said, if you want more information, you can go to you can email the CF Buyers Club at info@cfbuyersclub.org. And I'll pass back to David now and Rabu and Beximco to tell you more.
Amazing. Thanks very much, Gail. It's not an easy thing to cover a huge and long, complex story, but hopefully very useful context setting, and will, as I said, serve to inform the question and answer discussion later on. So if you do have questions, please do post them in the chat. I'm really delighted now to be able to pass to Mr. Rabir Reza. He's the Chief Operating Officer of Beximco Pharmaceuticals, one of Bangladesh's most respected pharmaceutical companies and globally respected. He's been working in the industry for over 28 years. He's the Vice President of the Association of the Bangladeshi Pharmaceutical Industry, and he's joined us now to talk about his company's involvement in this effort. Thank you, Mr. Reza.
Hi, good evening or good afternoon, wherever you are. Thank you, and it's truly an honor to be here with this remarkable community. But at first, I would like to thank Dermot for arranging this community briefing, and a special thanks to Gail, for basically, she is the one. She was instrumental behind this project, and actually brought this product into life. So Gail, special thanks to you. Actually, our journey did not begin in a boardroom or with a commercial studies slide for this particular project. Actually, it began in a quiet video call almost 3 years ago, as Gail mentioned, with a group of mothers and fathers, parents from the UK, India, South Africa, Ecuador, who were fighting for the most basic human right, the right for their children to breathe, to grow, and to dream. In that moment, actually, when we're speaking, it stopped being about markets or IP systems. It became a moral question. If we have the scientific ability, do we also have the responsibility? Because we knew there is no commercial imperative behind this project. We will not make any money. But for us at Beximco Pharma, the answer was yes. And we had seen this story before as well, with HIV, with hepatitis C, with COVID-19, life-saving medicines priced beyond reach, and the whole nation left waiting. And again, it was patient voices, not profit equations, actually, that moved us. So quietly and without publicity, our teams got to work in R&D, procurement, quality, regulatory, and manufacturing. They worked really, really hard. We had several conversations, several meetings with the CF community leaders, And we did this not because anyone asked them to do, but because they understood what was at stake. This was not about launching a product, actually, this was about restoring hope. So this is about basically what I said is behind this project, that actually how Big Simco Pharma became involved with this project. And actually, Dermot asked me to give a little bit credential or about the company. I'll say in a nutshell that Big Simco Pharma is a generic manufacturer from Bangladesh with a simple purpose: make modern medicines accessible to people who need them most. We are approved by regulators in USA, Europe, Australia, Canada, Gulf Cooperative Council, Latin America, and we're currently exporting to more than 50 countries. Our facilities, our science, our people, they meet global standards. But our true credential is this: we show up where access is broken. We are the first to launch generic remdesivir, molnupiravir, and Paxlovid during COVID-19. And we offered it free to our government to save lives. We made hepatitis C cures affordable years before most low-income nations could access them. We combine rigorous science with a conscience. So now, let me talk about that what we have done so far with this Triko and Bexteco project. So once we gave our commitment 3 years back, we moved fast because every month of delay meant children struggling for breath. Over these 3 years, we developed the triple combination ETI and we branded it as Triko. We also developed the single drug ivacaftor under the brand name Bexteco. We secured regulatory approvals in Bangladesh, prepared for export pathways, ensured quality, stability, and also have done bioequivalence planning. And we set a price that reflects dignity, not monopoly. But if you ask me, we're not very happy with this price. We want to reduce the cost as much as possible. But given the current API cost, this is what we can do. But if we can manage reducing the cost, we assure you that will be passed on to all the patients, all the CF patients. So let's pause here. This therapy costs over $370,000 a year in the developed country. And we're making it available at present, as Gail said, $6,375 for a child and $12,750 for an adult. It is basically a 96% reduction. That means for the cost of treating one child in the US at list price, 58 children can be treated. But this is not just about price. It is about designing a pathway that works in the real world through personal importation laws, through patient-led systems, and with global legal flexibilities that exist to protect human life. We're simply honored to be part of this movement. So finally, I'd love to talk to that, that what it will do or how this will be giving hope or how we'll be making some impact in people's life, in children's life. Let me tell you what gives me hope. I think of Juan Machin in Ecuador, who spent his teenage years in hospital, watching his friends plan their futures while he couldn't. I think of the mother in India who said, "We see a ray of hope now." I think of all the children who may now dream not just to survive, but to live. Our hope is simple: that no family is told their child cannot live because they were born in the wrong country. That price never again determines who breathes. That governments see this moment and act not in 10 years, but now. That this community continues to lead and we stay behind you, pushing. This is not the end. This is the beginning of a new access era for CF patients. We will complete, bioequivalence, as Gail mentioned. We'll work with the regulators. We'll deliver at scale, and we'll stand with you until every child, everywhere, can get this therapy. History is full of moments with ordinary people changed what was considered impossible. I personally believe we are living such a moment now, not because of a company, because of parents, advocates, and a community that refuse to give up. Thank you for trusting Beximco Pharma. Thank you for inspiring us. We walk this road together and will not stop until every child with cystic fibrosis has a chance to breathe freely. Because we believe, let us build a world where access is not an act of charity, but an act of justice. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Reza. It's really appreciated. The commitment that your company has shown to this is really consequential. And I know from speaking to patients and parents who currently don't have access that could benefit it, there's a huge gratitude for the work you've done so far. Thanks for the questions that have started coming in already on the chat. There's some really good ones, and we will try our best to get to them before we close. Please do continue to ask them. We've only got one more speaker, and then we will be passing over to questions. So please, there's plenty of time for that discussion. Our final speaker then is Professor Joe Fortunak. He is a professor of chemistry and pharmaceutical sciences at Howard University in Washington, D.C. in the US. He has a long track record of work both within the pharmaceutical industry and supporting the global generic industry to increase its capacity and technical abilities. Professor Fortunak has agreed to support us to ensure we're doing everything to the highest possible standards to ensure the safety and efficacy of the Beximco product. And I'm delighted to pass to him now to talk a little bit about that work that he's involved in. And I should say as well, he's currently in an airport in New Zealand. And so we are really appreciative of him taking the time to do this and be with us today.
Thank you, Dermot. I'm so sorry to be scrambling, as you can see. My role here today, first of all, is to support the people who are the heroes who've been working very hard for just treatment and access to medicines, and to applaud the additional heroes from Beximco who are launching the product, the generic Triko, that will make available to cystic fibrosis patients much more affordable treatments, whereas the originator company has not been able to do this. So my role in this is that what I can support is discussing the quality assurance and how the product was developed. So Beximco is a company that is a very high quality generic. They have approvals from the most stringent regulatory authorities in the world, from the UK, from the US, from Canada, from companies in the European Union and Brazil. In addition to this, the individual product itself meets all of the requirements for the purity and potency and the impurity profile of the active ingredient. It also is of the correct crystalline form and particle size distribution. So that deals with the active ingredient itself. The finished product has been formulated and with a discriminating dissolution method. So for those who are not familiar, a dissolution method is used to control the quality of batch-to-batch production. And the relationship should be that if a product meets the dissolution profile that is required, and of course that is established by the originator drug, then that dissolution profile indicates that the product is equivalent. This Beximco has done, and as I said, with a dissolution method that is shown to discriminate between good and bad batches of drug product. Then finally, there is one additional step called bioequivalence. Bioequivalence studies with Beximco's Triko product they're planned, they're in progress. The way that this works is that the manufacturing must first be fully validated and be ready for commercial production, and then the bioequivalence study is conducted. That study is planned, its progress is underway. And so that is a final assurance of the similarity, the equivalence of Beximco's product versus Vertex Trikafta. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Joe. It's really great to have your independent wisdom and expertise on this to give additional assurances. This is like a subject area which is beyond my knowledge and understanding, and that's why I think at every stage, obviously, the safety and the health of everybody within the safe communities at the centre of what we're hoping to focus on. And so we've always aimed to bring in expertise when that expertise is not within our team, and we're delighted to have Professor Fortunak to offer that expertise on that angle. I'm going to pass, I think Gail has got her hand raised, so I'll let Gail come back in before we turn to some of the questions that have come in from you, and please do keep posting them in the chat as they occur to you. Gail.
Thanks, Dermot. Yeah, I just wanted to add on to what Joe has said. We could have waited like another year to launch this once we've got bioequivalency testing. But I think we felt it was really important to get this information out there as soon as possible to make people aware of Beximco and Triko, because there may be cases in certain countries in the world where children and young people are in a critical condition. And in those instances, it's really up to consultants and doctors to decide whether they could prescribe the drug before bioequivalency testing is done. So it was really important to us to be able to offer that where children and young people are in a critical condition, that they don't have to wait for bioequivalency testing in all cases. So I just wanted to add that.
Right. Thanks, Gail. A really important point. Okay, so I'm going to pass now to start addressing some of the questions that have been coming through in the chat. Please do keep them coming in. Yeah, if you'd also like to raise your hand, please do that as well. We've got about a half an hour now to speak, so we'll try to get through as many questions as possible. The first one I'm going to look at is one from Mare Smith, which is a question around whether it be possible to buy and use this product following the dose-sparing strategy as documented by Marco Zampoli. This is one which many in the CF community will be aware of. Just to flag, there is a drug-drug interaction for patients that are taking a couple of drugs, including antibiotics like clarithromycin, which are commonly prescribed to CF patients, which acts basically as a booster on the ETI and increases the pace at which it's absorbed by the body. And that, when it's used in combination with a generic ETI, allows a reduced dose to be prescribed under medical supervision and can cut the cost per annum of the drug by a third. And yeah, that's absolutely something that we envisage patients will be able to do with the Beximco product. And so, yeah, for a child, the cost per year using that protocol falls to just over $2,000 US dollars per child per year. I should flag on the CF Buyers Club website, which is cfbuyersclub.org, there's a link to a handbook which gives more details on all elements of this in written form, and there is included some details about Dr. Marco Zampoli's study on that reduced dose strategy. It's definitely something that's been implemented by patients and families in South Africa and in other countries using the Gador product, and yes, it should be absolutely possible for the same methodology to be followed with the Beximco product. I don't know if Mr. Reza or Joe or any others would like to come in on that point. If not, we can go ahead.
Yeah, not really, but yes, bioequivalence is recommended definitely. But you see, as Joe already said, that we have already completed the dissolution study. In one way, at the lab scale, we can say that the both products are equivalent. Right. And in many countries, we receive product approval based on these dissolution studies and the stability data. Right. In many countries, so this is the norm. So even for the hepatitis C drug, that was the, pathway that we followed. But in here, definitely, as we mentioned, that we are interested to proceed with a bioequivalence study. We'll do that, but that process might take some time. that might take some time. So yes, in between, as Gail said, if someone wants to access the medicine through the protocol that you have mentioned in your handbook, we'll be very happy to support, those parents, those patients with the medicine. But definitely, it will be through CF Buyers Club, based on your recommendations.
Thank you so much. And maybe just to add quickly on that, in terms of the question that was raised, or how much time do we think it will take for the results of that bioequivalency study to be ready? We estimate that will be ready within the year. We've been working really hard to get this ready for launch, and we've been putting in place like the procedures for the subsequent steps. We're going, as I said, we're working with Joe. We're also consulting with other experts in the field, and with BEXIMCO themselves, and with clinical trial organizations who can conduct the study. So we hope to be able to publish the details of that and the plans for that in the near future. And we think we should hopefully be able to have the results of that within the year. Another question that came in is just around whether or not there are any accessibility programs for adults. So obviously the cost is low compared to Trikafta, but there are adults who still will not be able to afford the costs involved in this. I think that's a really, really important point. I think we'd be really honest and say that this is significantly more affordable than any other option for CF patients without access at the moment. But we truly recognize that a buyer's club of this nature is not a completely sustainable solution. And so that's why I think Gail mentioned in her presentation the intention that we're going to work to overcome any patent or other barriers at national levels in countries around the world to ensure that we're able to facilitate reimbursement across the whole CF community where we can do that. That is not going to be as quick a solution as it would be for patients who are able to procure out of pocket and utilize access under personal use importation. But we're very aware that it does make it much more viable for many country governments and many healthcare systems to start a program that would enable access to this. And we've already had contact with health services who are interested in that. At present, we do not have a specific access program in place, but I would say that a lot of what we're doing right now is very reactive. We are building our plans all the time. Since we've launched, we've had outreach from organizations within the CF field who do funding to support access and support equity within the CF community. It might be possible that we are able to pull together a specific access program to help facilitate access to those that can't afford the price as it's currently stated. But leave that with us, basically, is the answer to that. There's nothing there at the moment, but that is not to say that we don't recognize that as being a barrier to patients still, and that we're not kind of conscious of how we need to overcome that barrier. I will press ahead unless anyone really wants to jump in. There have been a couple of questions there, specifically around the active medical ingredients, so the active pharmaceutical ingredients of Triko, and questions around their production. I don't know if Mr. Reza, you'd like to speak to that. I'm also happy to speak to that as well if you'd like.
You can start, and then I'll complement, if there's anything that I need to add.
Great.
Please.
And so, just to say one thing, we are very conscious that we are doing something which Vertex is not going to be excited about, very honestly. And we are very aware that Vertex as a company have taken legal action to try and prevent access for patients to CF products. We know that they've done that in Turkey. We see them doing that. They joined a case in India to try and prevent generic access. They fought very hard in South Africa to prevent generic access there. And we know they've recently taken action in Kazakhstan, which is resulting in patients that were accessing the generic losing access. So I think there are certain elements of our planning which I think people will understand. We need to be careful about what we communicate publicly. We will do everything that we can to verify with independent experts everything that's being done, and yeah, we will try and publish as transparently as possible all the steps that we're taking. But I think there are certain things that, you know, we feel there is greater risk in us making them public than might be gained from making them public, even if in an ideal world we'd want to be able to do that. So I'll pass to Mr. Teresa now if he wants to add anything.
No, I just want to add one thing, that you know that all the materials, say in Triko, there are 3 active ingredients. We procure these 3 ingredients from all the validated sources. And in those sources are also inspected by our quality team, because these are the prerequisites for any, you know, although this product is not approved by US, we haven't filed in the US FDA, but we will be producing this product in the US FDA accredited site. So we need to follow all the norms that US FDA prescribes, you know, so we follow based on that. We have validated the sources that we can assure you, and also, you know, inspected those sources. So we can talk that all the sources are of good sources, you know, so, and also the manufacturing was done very precisely, and it's by us, so we know exactly how we have done, you know. So, and on behalf of CF Buyers Club, I'd like to invite Gail and Dermot, you come and you see how we're producing these drugs in Bangladesh. So you can say, you know, that how Beximco is manufacturing products in Bangladesh.
Amazing. And I think it would be great. Thank you very much. It would be great for some of the first patients as well, who could benefit from it, to travel to see your facilities, because I think that would be really, really helpful. There was a related question as well around an offer to test the active pharmaceutical ingredient compounds to compare them to commercial or the originator product. I'm wondering if that's possible on a collaborative and confidential basis. Yeah, some of that testing, I would imagine, has already been done. It's something that we did whenever we launched the Buyers Club first time round. We did independent testing. Please do get in touch with us at info@cfbuyersclub.org. I think we'd be very open to having conversations around that, so long as we can make sure that we've got everything that we need. But we want to obviously do that in a way that is facilitative and collaborative with both Beximco and all the other partners involved. So if there are any points that are you want to make in follow-up, please do reach out to us at the info@cfbuyersclub.org email address. I'm going to move now to just ask a couple of questions just around the practicalities of how people will get access. So there's a question there which is, will we be able to collect the medication in the same way as we've done when generics were bought from Argentina, i.e. you can, in South Africa, you can't bring them in through the post or by mail, but you can travel to bring it in person. Is that going to be the case with this product, or are there other options? I would say one of the things that it's worth us understanding is the limitations around this largely do not rest with Mr. Reza and Beximco and the company, but rather the national laws in countries around the world. So we've got the global world trade organizations TRIPS agreement, which talks about, essentially sets the basic global rules of the game when it comes to intellectual property rights and monopolies. And there is a level of uniformity in how they're applied globally. But each country has domestic intellectual property and related medical regulatory laws which differ from country to country. So in the UK, you're able to import by post 3 months of generic product, even if there's a patented product in, if there's a patent in place on that product in the UK. That's the way it's written within the UK. In the US, it's even more difficult. You cannot take it in by post. You can't bring it in your hand luggage and you go traveling according to the regulations in that context. But in other places, as we see in South Africa and countries from different places around the world, Mexico and other places, those laws and those regulations are different. And so one of the things that we will try to do, and we'll work with you, is to try and identify the specific regulatory environment in your country that will give you an indication as to what the most easily facilitated route to procuring and securing access to the product is. And that will look a little bit different in every country depending on the context. And yeah, alongside that, there may be places where, as I said, we will be able to, maybe there are no patents in place. That's this product is not patented in every country in the world, as far as we are aware. There may be places where it's possible for supply to happen in shorter notice at a national level. But there may also be places where we can overcome some of the existing barriers through coordinated effort within the legal system and within the government system as well. So if you're interested in procuring this drug and bringing it in, please do signify that to us. Email us at the CF Buyers Club website, and we will try to develop a wide and included in the handbook and the details on the CF Buyers Club country by country guidance as best we can. But yeah, if you're able to help support the details of that in any country context, that would be super helpful as well. I don't know if anybody else wants to come in on that, but I feel like I've been talking for quite a long time. Hopefully that's enough. Other questions that have come in. How could we? Sorry, yeah, please, Gail, go for it.
To the Mexican question. I think Jose is on the call, who I know, and I'd be happy to speak afterwards with. I know I've got quite a group of Mexican supporters of the Right to Breathe campaign, and we've been so busy just launching this product, but now have a bit of time on our hands. I think the situation in Mexico is slightly complicated, that Vertex have registered their drugs there and have been in price negotiations for more than a year now. And so it's a pretty desperate situation. But after this, maybe next week, we can definitely have a group chat with Mexican families to work on how we can move forward in Mexico, where there's quite a big CF population that currently has no access. So we'll definitely be able to link up and talk about that next week.
Amazing. Thanks, Gail. And yeah, Yvette, the question about sharing the handbook, I've just shared the link to the CF Buyers Club website and the specific URL where the handbook is available in PDF form. We will keep that as a live document. So questions that come up through this webinar that we haven't considered, we will try to add additional FAQs within that. If people email us afterwards with questions that aren't properly addressed in there yet, we'll continue to add to it. I think one of the things that I should say is that we are a pretty small group of people trying to do this, and we know that we won't have every answer to every question immediately to hand, but we're aiming to be as transparent as we possibly can be. I think we've all got, most of the people involved heavily in this are parents or patients with CF. And so they have got a shared interest in this, us doing this to the highest possible standards. And so where there are gaps in our understanding or knowledge, we'll acknowledge them, and we'll explain how we're trying to fill those gaps. If you can identify how you can support or help, we will welcome that support. If you can identify gaps or questions that you think would be useful for us to try and answer, we're open to hearing that. So please do get in touch, reach out, and communicate with us, because I think we're really, this is a community initiative. This is born from the CF community, and it will live or die by the support and the involvement of the CF community. So we really do appeal to you to contribute in whatever ways you can. If that's, flagging stuff that you don't understand that maybe others haven't understood either, that's useful. If there's ways that you can help around raising pressure at a national level to push your government to overcome patent monopolies, if you can help to identify what the personal importation regulations are within your country, do that work, share it with us, let us know that you're doing it, because this is something that we can all benefit from, and the collective power of the CF community has taken on big challenges in the past and won, and we're really confident we'll be able to do it with this again. I'm wondering if there are any questions that have been asked that I have missed. Just scrolling through, I don't think so. So yeah, if anybody is on the call has got a question, either please stick it in the chat now. If you'd like to raise your hand and ask something, please also feel free to do that. We've still got about 10 minutes to go. Daniela, please. You should be able to unmute. Let me just see. Can you unmute Daniela, Hannah?
All I can do is ask to unmute. So I think you'd have to accept that.
Gail, I think you might need to unmute Daniela if you can. Maybe you need to make Daniela a co-host to do that. Let me just check. I think the settings might be, it's a bit tricky figuring out how to get all the settings right for a call like this. But yeah, Gail, are you able to do that?
No, I can't do that. I've got asked to unmute as well. Let me make her
Can
a
you
host.
make a co-host? Yes, please. Yeah.
It won't let, oh yeah, okay. Right, Daniela, you should be able to.
Can you unmute yet, Daniela? Can you unmute her now, Gail, now that she's a co-host? That's frustrating. Apologies.
Let me make her a host.
Yeah, try. Don't make her a host. No. Okay. That's a bit dangerous because if she leaves, the whole call stops.
Daniela, do not leave that.
Daniela is not okay. So we're still like, I think there might be an issue with Daniela's setup rather than them as a host. But anyway, let's see.
Can you, Daniela, can you write your question in the chat instead?
Okay. In the meantime, I will say the plans from here on are going to be focused on trying to ensure we've agreed with Beximco and with other independent experts, including Joe and others, an appropriate protocol for bioequivalence and any other necessary studies that are required to ensure safety. We want to be in the coming weeks as well confirming the basic mechanics of the purchase and importation and distribution of the product. We're also going to be reaching out to the CF community country by country to try and support and help them to understand the context within their country, as I said, around personal importation laws, but then also to try and use this as a moment to push and pressurize your national governments to take the steps that they have within their power to facilitate access and reimbursement at a national level and overcome any patent barriers or other barriers that might exist to do that. We've been working really hard to get ourselves to this point, and that work on the next stage of this is going to be really considerable too. But we will, we think we'll have be able to publish significant updates on this before the end of this year. And then I think the hope and estimation is that we'll be able to start for those patients whose health is poor, who want to get access as quickly as possible. The ambition, I think, Mr. Reza, is that from springtime next year, it will be possible for Beximco to start, the production run will have happened and we'll be able to start supplying the medicine more widely. So that's the kind of the path. And as I said, the bioequivalence study, the timeline to that is going to run a little bit longer. So, it'll be within the next year that we have the results we estimate on that. Lots of work to do. But as I said, there is opportunity for everybody in this community to contribute. So please do reach out. It would be really appreciated.
Try again now. Daniela,
can you unmute yet?
Yes, I got it. Sorry, Juan Martin had to come and help me.
Who's Juan Martin?
Who's Juan Martin? Juanito.
Tell everyone who Juan Martin is.
Yeah, he's here, but he doesn't want to be on the camera. He just woke up 30 minutes before our Zoom meeting. So, okay, for me, I just want to say thank you. Really, I'm from Ecuador, and well, Juan Martin and I, from the people that doesn't know us, we were in Seattle, and we have the pleasure to meet Gail, Dermot, and all the team, and we were so actually thankful for everything you have done. Also, I want to thank Dr. Raza and Dr. Fortunac for all that you guys are doing for the people that doesn't have access to Trikafta. It has been really a nightmare here for us in Ecuador. Juan Martin, thank God, just turned 18 years old this year. So he's becoming an adult right now. And actually, it's pretty weird from people in Ecuador to get to an adult age. Almost all kids die before they are able to be an adult because we don't have medicines here. But thankfully, Juan Martin was diagnosed when he was born, so he was treated since he was born, and I think that really helped him to get to this to this age. Actually, I'm sorry for my English, but I'm kind of nervous, and I'm from Ecuador, so I just want to thank you everyone for all the efforts that you guys are doing, and hopefully to get this medicine for all the people with CF around the world. I really think is such a big job that you guys are doing, and I just want to thank you from my heart, and hopefully to get it soon, as Dr. Raza says, probably next spring. We'll be very glad to have it and give Juan Martin and all the kids a better life. That's all I want to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Daniela. And I just want to add, it was an absolute privilege to meet you and Juan Martin. I mean, his statement that he gave on the stage was just so powerful. He spoke like so well, and I think he and so many others like him are exactly the reason why we're doing this, and because of mums like you, CF mums and family members pushing this all the way. So no, we couldn't do it without you, and you know, kids like Juan Martin and obviously Bex and Co. So I just want to thank everyone.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thanks so much, Daniela. Thank you, Gail. Thank you, Mr. Reza. Thank you, Professor Fortunac. And thank you all for joining. I have not had personal or family connection to cystic fibrosis before getting involved in this campaign work. And I am consistently, and I should stop being surprised, but I'm consistently amazed by the power of this community to overcome the barriers that are put before them in the name of their fight for their kids' lives and for their own lives. And I think it's a really, really important collective endeavor, the progress that's been made on this. And we've taken a huge step forward with the support and the help of and the commitment of Beximco, which we're very grateful for. But there are many more complicated steps to go. And so we will keep being transparent about the challenges that we're facing, the steps that we're taking to bridge those challenges, and the ways that you can get involved and contribute. And yeah, I thank you for all of your support today and going forward. And I hope that we can start, as Daniela says, in the near future, getting patients, children, young people, adults with CF that are getting sicker today, get them onto this medicine as soon as possible and start seeing their health improved. So thank you all so much for joining. Please do contact us on info@CF Buyers Club. And if there's any questions, we will try to answer them. And if there are any ways that you can help, we'll use that to let you know, because we'll need to do this as a community. Thank you all so much. Again, really appreciate your time, and looking forward to working on the next steps together with you all.
I just want to make a final word, if I may.
Please.
So I just want to say that, that CF is a remarkable community, and to Daniela and other CF moms and dads, I just want to tell you one thing, that Bexungo Pharma is with you. Thank you.
Okay, that's a great way to end. Okay, thank you everybody very much again. Thanks to all our speakers. Thanks everybody for joining. We will see you all again soon.
Thank you. Bye.